I'll start with a review for this book, Outgrowing God, A Beginner's Guide. This one was a little hard. I thought between a 3 to a 4. I think the best way is to give it a high 3, which is the system that there is like high 3 and low 3. So 2 3s. It's not a 4. It's almost a 4, but not a 4. One of the reasons are that there's too much details in some areas. So this book is quite short, but in some areas, the author got too deep into details that are not necessarily related. So he lost me quite a few times. That's not to say that it was too complicated. It was just like not interesting in general. He's like, what are you talking about? Has nothing to do with outgrowing God. He's talking about evolution, which is his field. I understand that, but for me, I think was a little too much details, and they were not directly related to what we're talking about in the book. In addition to that, I think he could make better arguments for outgrowing God. There's many other arguments, might be even better ones to say to bring about against God or against religion. He has some good ones. I'm not going to say he has some good ones. That's why I'm giving a high 3 and thinking maybe even getting a 4. In general, I'm not a big fan of his writing style. Something there is not going well for me, at least. Let's see the notes. Failure to prove something doesn't make it true. The fact that we cannot prove it wrong doesn't make it true. Every country believes in different God, so it's hard to believe that all of them are right. When you hear there's other countries that believe in different gods, who are you to say that they are wrong? That's the idea. So who is wrong? When there are two explanations, one more obscure than the other, we will accept the more logical one. So if we have just two options, we will leave the more logical ones rather than the superstitious one or the less probable one. We have goosebumps because we once had hair. Oh, more hair on our body. We still have some, but that's why we have goosebumps, in order to make ourselves warmer or to look bigger. We don't need it anymore, obviously. Mutations tend to be small and therefore can be sustained. It's not a big leap, small leaps, every leap in a time, one leap at a time. And that's why those mutations can be sustained and not kill the animal or whoever is mutating. Mutations create armories between different species. So one species is mutated, let's say a little faster, the other species need to mutate as well. So it's kind of armories between those species. According to the author, selection and mutations are not random and therefore are not probable. Selection and mutations are not random. Or the reason I wrote according to the author is I didn't fully agree with that. He said that selection and mutations are not random, therefore are not more probable. This one is a little complicated to understand. Selection and mutations are not random. It's not random because there is something that is going on. It's not fully random. But the leap there that I don't understand is therefore they're not more probable. Which means they're like it's supposed to be, which I didn't really understand or agreed with what he's saying there. Building a nest is a bottom-up, and therefore there is no designer. The way a nest starts, it's from bottom-up, and you don't need a designer because it's just emerge out of it. Small parts can form shapes without a designer. If everyone follows a simple rule, that's the same idea of bottom-up. So small parts can form shapes without someone designing it. If everyone followed the same rule, something can emerge. Humans have a tendency to see agents for every act. We look for agency. Who is doing this? Superstition often developed due to perpetuous false negatives. Yeah, false negative is when we don't, I think it's false negative, when we think something didn't happen, but we attribute that something that didn't happen to, oh, that's because I did X. But this is flaw. It's a flaw, and this is where superstition comes. I think that's a false negative right there. Being good to others could develop as everyone lived in the same village and could be your relative. How did we being good? How did it got evolved? One of the reasons it got evolved is because we lived with most people that we know, and it could be your relative, and there is that kin altruistic thing between them, and you would want to care for your relative, and this is how we learned to care about our people around us. So that's it for the notes, and again, probably a high 3. Eventually might give it a 4, but some things are missing. I think could do a better job at this. And that's it. Thank you.